bloody ball.
And 5 as well.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. You're with White Line Wireless and Guerrilla Cricket for day 5 of the Women's Ashes Test, which is remarkably similarly poised to day 5 of the men's first Ashes Test. Welcome, fellas.
It is indeed. Thank you, Messi. Yes. Great to be here in the Box of Dreams, brought to you by the Sugar and Spice Cat Rescue. If you haven't voted in our kitten poll yet, get on it. It is online. The names are fantastic, and we're going to get that through the rest of the day. Hopefully, well, not sure. I'm very tired. I'd actually like England to be bowled out in about an hour.
Well, they could be bowled in an hour, or they could stick it out to the last session and go for the draw. Who knows? Although I think if it gets to the last session, there'll be a result. Depends how quickly they bat. They've been going about 4 and over for most of the tests. It looks like they only know one way, so I think they'll keep going, and we'll get a result before tea, at least one way or another. Ross?
I think it'd be very hard for them to win if Danny White's not in, and Danny White's not going to stick around, so it probably is over halfway through the second session. If they can get the runs, which they've got a few to get still, 100
516, 152 I think to get, but the score 5 for 116, and yes, Danielle White in 20 not out, Kate Cross in ahead of Amy Jones, the keeper, perhaps just to protect her for some batting today, but she's 5 not out, and it all started pretty well for England. None for 55 off the first 10 or 11 overs, and then the wickets came in a hurry. Ash Gardner doing a lot of damage, and that bright start was quashed, and really does leave Australia in the box seat to clean England up. It would be a record chase for women's Test cricket by quite some margin. I don't think anyone's ever chased 200 or more to win a Test match, so all in front of England at the moment.
It is indeed. Messi?
It is, and yet. You know, Australia's tail did fantastically in the first innings, if you can call it a tail, and then did bugger all in the second. England's tail did bugger all in the first. Every chance that they'll turn around and do something in the second. And, you know, the lessons of Edgbaston are still very close. The unexpected can occur, so I'm really excited about this. You know, to go through 5 days and end up in this position is a real privilege. I'm loving it.
Yeah, Australia's tail's like a human tail. It's technically still there, but it's just a tiny little bone in the coccyx.
That's about right.
Speaking of the tail, Elisa Healy perhaps could have been a lot lower chase for England if she was taken off that edge first ball and then went on to make 50. So those 50 runs crucial for Australia, but also pretty handy if you can have Elisa Healy coming in at number 8 to knock a few around at the end, which she did.
I do think Australia still left some runs out there. They left more runs out there in the first innings, but it's a couple of bad shots. Elisa Healy was a bit loose. Sutherland just kind of scooped one up. So the pitch is not unplayable, despite the fact that we've seen 15 wickets yesterday. Certainly, though, it was doing a lot more than in the first 3 days. And probably more so, though, I think the bowling lines were so much better.
They really were on their game yesterday, England, especially, obviously Eccleston's always on the case, but Filer, that burst before lunch, picking up those 2 wickets, seeing stumps cartwheeling. I think it was Talia McGrath that got knocked over for a low score. She really got them going, and then they kept it up after lunch and didn't give the Australians anything, who were... it's easy to forget Australia were 1 for 149, and then so lost 9 for 108. So it could have. It looked for a long time that Australia were just setting up a declaration, and England bowlers have really forced a result here, which at the moment may well have played into Australia's hands because there was no danger of them running out of time in the match, but also giving England a chance to win.
Yeah, and the England Australian bowling was ragged as well, and they looked like they were going to coast to a big total until Gardner came on and McGrath.
So here's some figures for Sophie Eccleston for the match. 77.1 overs, 16 maidens, 10 for 192 at an average of 19.2 and an economy rate of 2.48. That's pretty impressive.
Disappointed she didn't get to the 80 overs. I was hoping she'd get through 2 T20 games herself, but didn't quite get there. But yeah, this match has had everything. It's had hundreds, it's had double hundreds, it's had a 10 for, and now we've got an exciting finish on the last day. Yeah, fantastic game of cricket.
She bowled over 30% of all England's overs as well, which is like she basically just held up an end for almost all of the match. Quite an extraordinary effort from Eccleston.
Yeah, which was required. If she had got injured or had some sort of niggle, they really would have been would have been lost. England with those young, the young fast bowlers did very well yesterday, but probably don't have the Ks in their legs to bowl 25, 30 overs a day. So Eccleston just being able to hold up an end was crucial.
No, it's good to see them find their lines and the sort of form that we were expecting. Though Bell didn't come on for about 50-something overs almost yesterday, but it wasn't until after lunch. But she bowled really well as well. Brief time she was there. It
was interesting. I think both sides' fast bowlers bowled much better in their second innings than in the first. Particularly in the fourth day for England. The third day evening they weren't great, but they actually found some line yesterday, which made a huge difference.
And the pitch was just doing a little bit of keeping low, which is what Australia will be hoping for today. It'll be Gardner to bowl the first over. She was the destroyer yesterday, 3 for 33, and that massive turning sort of off spinner that kept low and wrapped Heather Knight's pads. That'll be in the minds of the English batters today.
7 for 132 in the match so far by Gardner. She could read through the tail. She's actually going to end up with better figures than Eccleston.
And Talia McGrath bowled beautifully last night too.
She's the only bowler who actually disappointed for Australia is Darcy Brown, who really struggled again with her lines. Annabelle Sutherland bowled 2 overs for 17, but I think the first 2 balls that she bowled actually went edged through the slipcord with 4, so she was a little unlucky.
Yeah, just the 5 overs between Brown and Sutherland as Ash Gardner is in and bowling the first ball of the day on the pads of White on strike first ball, and she's just pushed that to mid-wicket. There's no run. Gardner wasting no time here, and another ball on the pads that's defended it. Not the most attacking field, Russell, it must be said. Just the one slip in and no one around the bat, which is interesting.
And interesting there, Gardner got a little bit of pad, I think, there. It kind of popped up on that short leg side. They know they've only got 5 wickets left, right?
Yeah, and that's a wrong one, I think it was. It's hit the pitch, it's gone the other way, it's beaten the outside edge, it's beaten Healy, and it's beaten the field, and it's gone for 4. It almost collected the helmet for 5 on the way, but yeah, the first 2 deliveries, real just pedestrian off spinners, and that one gripped and went the other way, and
I don't know what
she'll be encouraged by that.
I don't know what Gardner did then, but that was an absolute ripper of a ball. How she managed to get one to turn the other way, because typically finger spinners don't get that sort of purchase to go the other way. That was phenomenal.
Like a bit of a doosra. And that one's just the regulation off spinner. It's worked into the offside by White for a single. There's a deep sort of 3/4 of the way to the fence point, just providing some protection.
Bringing the close infielder in for cross, which makes sense. We were discussing before play whether Cross was a night watchman because she's coming before Jones or not, but she's only a couple of spots further up the order.
So just seeing a replay of that again. Healy was almost...
Healy had no idea what was going on. She was like, oh, well, I've never seen that before.
Eyes wide open, almost appealing like she think it was going to bowl her, and then forgot she had to take the ball. It's gone under her gloves. Healy with the zinc across the nose today, under the lids. Another hot day in Nottingham. Gardner's tossing that one up, and it's taken the outside edge of Cross's bat, but they're going to get some runs here, and they'll come back for a couple. There's a vacant, well, there's one slip in, and then sort of no one behind the wicket until you get around to point. So,
yeah, I think we were discussing yesterday or the day before. Alyssa Healy's a little bit paint by numbers with just standard fields.
Yeah,
not in the league of funky captains as yet. Gardner's in again, and Cross is defending well on the offside, and that is the end of the first over. It's 123 for 5.
I should mention it is a lot cooler today. It's only 20 degrees and it's not expected to get above 22. But there are a few light showers around, so we may end up going off for short periods. Mog says, speaking of kittens, guess whose cat had electrochemotherapy for a mast cell tumour today? Oh, God, I bet that's cost you an arm and a leg too, Mog. I hope she's all right. Muttley says, woof, morning even primates. Speaking of cats, he sends a picture of a beautiful little kitten that's actually got the fur of a poodle, to which the comments are, oh my God, is this a cat or a sheep? A shat. Don't call it that, please. Okay, a shitten. Warren says, morning all. Leah says, morning all. Can England do an Australia at Edgbaston here? Well, it's always possible. And Chris Lacroix says, things you expect to hear on Guerrilla Cricket, but actually heard on the BBC Essex. We can look forward to talking bowling and balls within Australia.
Well, if anyone's going to play the Pat Cummins role, I think it's probably Sophie Eccleston. She can handle the bat, and she certainly had a good match. So stay tuned. It's going to be Talia McGrath to take up the bowling from the other end, and she's pitching that one in short, and it's keeping low, and Wyatt's just digging that one out, sort of from the shins. So we did see a bit of that yesterday, which was probably one of the reasons why we got 15 wickets in the day, and that really just hit the pitch and skidded on.
Yeah, there are a few more cracks on the pitch too, by the look of it.
Healy up to the stumps too. For McGrath, 1 for 15 off 8 overs. She was on fire yesterday, and that one's in wide of the crease, and Wyatt's playing an attacking shot to cover. I think Russ was correct before. She's, I don't think she's going to bat out 30 overs for no runs here. She's definitely going to play her shots.
Probably Heather Knight, the only one that's really being troubled by that one that will say, though, her wicket was almost unplayable, that delivery, is it?
Yeah, if you get one of those, you'd almost just sort of throw your head back and say, well, there's not really much you can do about it. McGrath's in again, and that's a fuller, almost Yorker length delivery. Might have been a slower ball too, but Wyatt digs it out. There's no run.
3 staggered slips in from McGrath, but I kind of feel like the ball's not going to carry to any of them.
Trying to psych her out maybe, or maybe trying to invite her to play her shots. But
I mean, the odd one stays up a bit and bounces, so maybe we'll get the catch from those, but she gets a normal edge. I feel like it's going to just go between Healy and the first.
So McGrath's in again, and that's a big drive aimed there for Wyatt, but she just gets a bottom edge and it goes back down the pitch and there's no run. Yeah, they're wide, sort of a wideish first slip. I think Litchfield's in there and almost a third slip, so it's an interesting cordon.
Yeah, any sort of short tickle, Healy's far too obviously being up at the stumps. He's not going to get anything that goes a little way, so it's
a lot of pressure on the debutant at first slip. As McGrath's in, and that one's a plainer miss outside the off stump, but that one bounced, and Healy's sort of taken it on the second attempt. But there's no run, so there's balls keeping low, they're bouncing.
And a bit of swing too.
McGrath just coasts in, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like she's really putting in a really big effort. I wonder if she's got a bit of an effort ball.
Well, that was a big outswinger. I like she's going through the variations here. She's in again, wide of the crease, and that one is outside the off stump, and Wyatt's hit that over cover all the way for 4. That was a glorious shot. Picked up the length early and just helped it on its way. And this is a good start for England. There's runs coming. It's 127 for 5, the end of McGrath's over.
Yeah. 10 down.
Muttley says, I heard back from Sugar and Spice Cat Rescue about donating. They said those of us who want to donate can do so via their Patreon, Love and Sausages. And he sent us a link to the Patreon site for Sugar and Spice, which has been retweeted out on the Guerrilla Cricket channel. So I've absolutely no doubt that whoever's involved with Sugar and Spice will be very appreciative of whatever support they can get.
Yes, it's an expensive labour of love to sexing kittens. You'd be amazed how much litter I buy.
Please do get online and donate and tweet in and keep us interested throughout this final day as Gardner's starting another over, and that's a straight flutter delivery that's defended by Cross. There's no run.
The first round of kitten names, the seeded second round, I'll read them out after this ball by Gardner.
Oh, you seeded them, did you, this time?
Gardner tosses that one up and it takes the inside edge back onto the pad. That almost got through a rather big gap across left as she aimed a booming cover drive there. No harm done in the end.
A little lucky to get away with that one, Cross.
You just think there's something happening any ball now with Gardner bowling, and she's tossing another one up, and that's taking the outside edge, and they'll get some more runs here as that one goes all the way along the ground past the first slip, and it'll be Darcy Brown will come round from backward point, and they'll get 2 runs, 129 for 5, Cross up to 9.
The top seed was Meow and Ali. It got over 90% of its first round votes.
And so it should have too.
Kat Cummins, Scratch and Tendulkar, Tabby Beaumont, and Kat Simcox.
I think they're all going through to the next round myself.
And there's more runs here as Gardner pushes another one wide, and Cross gets another thickish outside edge past that slip, and they'll go through for 1. She's into double figures. Scoreboard ticking over.
Top 2 will go into the last round. Ricky Pertine is the last one there. Some great names coming through. I think I've got enough for several litters. From what
Did we get a David Warner name in there?
We did get a David Warner name in.
Gardner tosses that one up outside the off stump, and White goes at it, and she can't beat the backward point, but they'll come back for 2 as the sweeper does the fielding. 132 for 5. This is positive stuff. I mean, the rate they're going now, that it'll be over by lunch, or they'll either get the runs or they'll be out pretty much.
England won't die wondering.
No.
Well, Wyatt definitely won't, because as we know, she's pretty much got one gear.
Yes. Gardner's bowling a flatter delivery there, and Wyatt can't beat mid-wicket as she whips it away. And that is the end of another over, 132 for 5.
Oh dear God, the naked porn back says, Sugar and Spice Pussy Rescue, where do I sign up? Oh, stop it. Mog says, I donate, but I'm dead fucking broke after my contribution to veterinary businesses this year. Yeah, well, as I said to you earlier, Mog, Pet's mission in life is to relieve us of the burden of wealth, and they're very successful, generally speaking.
I think Mog's running his own rescue on the side, by the sounds of this.
Well, he's got 5 cats. So, yeah, it's inevitable, isn't it?
Once you've got 5, there's really not much difference between 5 and 10, I've found.
Yeah. Why do we talk about mad cat ladies but not mad cat men?
This is a good question,
point.
and one my partner raises regularly.
Oh dear. So yeah, she has competition for her affection then.
It'll be McGrath to continue again for the 4th over of the day, and she's bowling that one down the leg side, and Cross will get another run. She just turns that around towards fine leg, and they scamper through. There was a short mid-wicket there, that sort of 2/3 of the way down the pitch, almost on the pitch, short mid-on I should say, catcher for Cross, which they might push out for Wyatt. So Healy mixing it up, but still a very spread field. You kind of feel like Australia are trying to not concede too many boundaries and just hope they get a couple of wickets early, and then they can relax. But
yeah,
it just seems a little bit pedestrian, although got those 2 wide slips here again as Wyatt's flicking that one through square leg, and she might get a couple as fine leg comes around again. It's Brown again. She's been doing a lot of fielding today, and they do come back for 2. 135 for 5. White 29. It seems like wherever the ball goes, it's Darcy Brown doing the fielding. Yeah,
notwithstanding that McGrath took some wickets last night, I wonder if bringing on Alana King would be a good way to start. Get the ball that turns away. And it was turning a little bit for Gardner, so.
Yeah, White's certainly enjoying McGrath here. She gets another easy single to the sweeper out at point, so it's all ticking over nicely for England so far.
Yeah, that one kept a little bit low again. There's that spot just outside the off-start to the right-hander there that's clearly a little dubious in terms of bounce.
Well, I'd love to get your guys' thoughts maybe after this ball on a question I've got for you. McGrath is in again, and that one's played uppishly out to the covers, but doesn't carry, and they scamper through for a single. Cross 11, it's 137 for 5. Yeah, Phoebe Litchfield been in first slip for the whole test. Usually that's reserved for either the captain or one of the more senior batters in the side who likes to stand at first slip all day. Very important position for a 20-year-old. Not sure how much slips practice she's had in her career. Obviously not a lot of slips in short form cricket.
Maybe it's
the cardboard cutout of Meg Lanning put there, I think.
That's it, as Wyatt's playing another booming square drive in the sweeper will field, and they'll go through for another run, 138 for 5. Yeah, just hoping a catch doesn't come to her at a crucial time, and they've just sort of put her in first slip.
Maybe it's one of two specialist batters in the side that she gets to choose where
she can't do anything else. You're not going to bowl, so you can just stand next to me at slip, said Healy. Yeah, I always felt like you needed to graduate to that first slip when you've done enough fielding over the years, and then you don't want to do any more fielding. As that one's wrapping cross on the pads, it looked like it was just sliding down the leg side. There's a big shout, but I don't think they'll review. I think that was tailing a fair way down leg side, but it's one of the few that's beaten the bat so far today.
McGrath shook her head and said no, but Healy decided to go and ask Perry, but they've let the timer run out. So
Healy seems like a compulsive reviewer to me, I think.
Yeah, it's the battery.
Yeah.
The opening. That one cross seamer, that one.
Oh, it was hitting outside leg, let alone going down.
Yeah, it was never a chance. But I mean, we saw England burn a couple of reviews late in the Australian innings yesterday for shouts that were nowhere near it, as that did end the McGrath over, 138 for 5, cross 11, White 31.
Oh, bloody hell. I've got a problem with my remotes. My soundbar remote is affected by my TV remote, so all of a sudden the sound comes on. Warren says it's disappointing that the bucket hat is present in the England women's team as well. Yeah, it's a shocker, isn't it? If you want a bucket hat, get the Gorilla Cricket one.
Gardner is continuing for another over, and White's getting a single. They're playing this well, England. The field's spread. There's a sweeper out at point, and they are just sort of dropping the ball into the infield and rotating the strike very nicely here.
Yeah, Australia's a little ragged as well.
Pushed it on by 23 runs in 15 minutes. They are getting through the overs. This is, I think, the 7th over of the day, and or is it the 5th over of the day? The over rate's certainly very good. Gardner's bowling that one outside the off stump, but it has gone past second slip. Did she get a finger on it? It is. Is that Litchfield in second slip now? Maybe the ball did follow her. I think Mooney's maybe moved to first and Litchfield's at second. She stuck out the hand. We'll have to wait for the replay to see whether that was a genuine chance.
She's close and she cut it hard. I'm not sure if it got a hand on it. Ooh, I think it was past her before she could get her hands up.
Yeah, always tough when the player's playing a full-on cut shot, but
I think a really good slick catcher would have got that.
And that one's beating the bat, or is it taking the edge? It is taking the edge. They're all up. The finger goes up. There was no harm done in the end. Healy takes it. Gardner does get that first wicket. It's 6 for 141, just after there was a chance. There is a wicket that follows, which so often happens. So Kate Cross is gone for 13. The Australians have got the early wicket. And that was a good take by Healy. That was on a good length, and it bounced, and she took it on the up. Really, moved the hands back and took that ball. Didn't let it bobble at all, and they'll be well happy with that after a bit of a ragged start. Be happy to get that wicket.
Yeah, lovely ball by Gardner. It's the top spinner, so it's gone straight on and given that extra bounce. Cross hasn't picked it. She's gone the big drive. Just a little tickle.
Yeah, well, it is the night. I was going to say, I think the night watcher. I think they were calling her. So not the established batter in Wyatt, which will bring Amy Jones, the keeper, who would normally come in at number 7. So it's although there is 6 wickets down in terms of the batters that are in, it's sort of more like 5 wickets down in terms of the 2 that are out there, or will be out there at the moment.
Yeah, interesting to see if they bring Perry on. Jeff Lemon made a note the other day that Perry has got Jones out something like 4 times in 14 balls in Test matches. So he's definitely got a hold on her if that's the case.
Well, hopefully the coaches are reading Jeff's Twitter feed if they haven't done their own homework. I'm sure Perry's probably telling Healy that, hey,
I don't want to bowl too many overs, but this one's mine.
They put on 31 for that, which I think Kate Cross did a pretty good job in the circumstances.
I think she's done her job. Well, if we're talking about Edgbaston similarities, obviously Scott Boland went out for Australia and made 20 and put on a decent partnership. So she's done a similar job, 13, but 31 run partnership. And kept the scoreboard ticking over too, which I think was important.
Yeah, there's no point in England batting slowly, I think, today. Eventually one of those ones will stay low or turn a bit more. Got to keep the strike turning over and the runs coming. There's a short mid-on now and a shortish mid-wicket. So expecting the ball to kind of get popped up as they try and turn it to the leg side.
Looks like they might have taken out that second slip, which I'm not so sure about. After they just got the edge, I'd be maybe going all out attack, but just Gardner's in again, and that one beats the outside edge. Healy's expressions are priceless here. She's very animated behind the stumps.
That's the ball to keep the second slip into, because it was again the straighter one, and again Jones hasn't picked it at all.
Yeah, there are just some cracks around that good length, which I think, I'm not sure she's got a doozer, but I think if she hits that spot on the pitch, they are deviating, and she's hitting a similar area there, and Jones plays that very well. Forward defence on the offside, no run.
Just giving lots of loop, Gardner too.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like Healy's going to be being a little bit too defensive at the moment, isn't she?
As that one's a fuller delivery, and Jones is pushing that down to mid-off. No run. That's the end of a successful over. Gardner has 4 for 44 at the moment. She really is the chief destroyer in England. 141 for 6, still 127 to get.
Mogg points out that meanwhile Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifier against the USA have reached their highest ever ODI score of 371 for 3, with Williams on 170 of 98 balls, breaking windows at will. So 174 now he is, off 99 balls. That's not bad.
Yeah,
Poor old USA taking a hiding.
They've been a disappointment in this tournament. There's some hope that they might be able to challenge for at least the Super Sixes, but they haven't been good. No, they haven't. They did have a player get a century, and I think that was the pinnacle of their achievements, really, wasn't it? Though, to be fair, their net run rates at the moment, well, before this match, was only 0.789 in the negative. So that's less than a run and over going, the downward. Right now, Sri Lanka's net run rate is 3.649 in the positive. So they've absolutely creamed every side they've played.
Well, they really, really smashed Oman the other day.
And so they should. If Oman or the USA were beating Sri Lanka in cricket, I'd be a touch worried about the future of Sri Lankan cricket.
Yeah, Oman's into the Super Sixes, though, at least.
There's a bit happening in the USA. The T20 World Cup. There'll be a few games in the USA next year. There's some other T20 leagues.
The Major League,
I think. Yeah, the Major League
cricket
is about to start. So they're certainly putting a lot of effort into the USA. I think hoping it might become a big market for cricket.
Did they postpone the T20 World Cup in the US to put it somewhere else, though? I feel like I heard that the US wasn't ready, so they've moved it back.
We might need to
have they?
look that up. Hopefully not. As it's bowling change here, as Kim Garth's coming to the attack, and White's playing a pull shot across the line. It almost takes her pad, but she manages to get an under edge, and it goes out to deep square leg, and they'll go through for a single. She's on 33 now, 142 for 6.
Of course, you can't Google that because it just gives you what happened in 2020, but we'll see.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I thought it was still...
I might be making that up.
Still on board for sort of July next year, I think.
Oh, it was an article earlier this month that says they might not. So it hasn't been yet, but there's concern, I think, that there's no grounds ready.
Are they building? Well, maybe we'll get to that after this ball. As Garth's bowling a good delivery, short of length outside off, and Jones is defending into the offside.
They're building stuff for Major League Cricket. There's a new ground it's either built or under construction just outside Houston. They've obviously got the Fort Lauderdale ground in Florida, and I'm not sure if there's a couple of others in the making, but obviously if that tournament's delayed, they might not have the facilities the ICC would expect.
Well, there must be standards. I mean, if they play international cricket at Eden Park, you don't need too big a ground as Kim Garth's in. It's in Auckland, obviously. There's no run there, so it's hit into the offside, cover fields. What is the minimum length for a boundary? It's about 35 metres to fine leg at Eden Park in Auckland.
I think it's.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think
I hate cricket at Eden Park.
Yeah. I was going to say I think it's longer than the boundary at Trent Bridge, but
I think Trent Bridge are all over 55 metres.
Yeah,
from what I've seen.
I think it's supposed to be 60, but Trent Bridge is. Well, it's a
Trent
funny
Bridge
shape
is on the edge. Yeah.
Ground.
As Garth's bowling another straight delivery, and it's defended by Jones. Real probing stuff here by Garth. It's stump-to-stump bowling, just hoping that some natural variation out of the pitch will assist her, I think.
The rope in the women's game makes Trent Bridge kind of a normal shape, but if you look at it from the satellite, it looks like a baseball ground because it's got a square side and then a kind of roundish, close boundary on the other.
I do remember, I think it was Carlos Brathwaite or maybe one of the other West Indian bowlers took this screamer of a catch off Steve Smith in the World Cup a few years ago at Trent Bridge. Garth's bowling another dot ball, which on a normal ground would have just been 2 bounces to the deep mid wicket, but because the deep mid wicket was almost a short mid wicket, it does enable some pretty cool fielding.
So I'm just looking on a news website. There's a headline from Times Now which says West Indies USA might not host T20 World Cup 2024, event likely to be shifted to England. Report.
Oh, really?
I'd be really disappointed if that does it.
And that one's a good length ball and straight. It's keeping low, but Jones has defended well off the back foot. She still can't get off the mark. That is the end of the Garth over. It's 142 for 6. Jones 0, White 33.
Yeah, the hope would be that they just postpone it for a couple of years and give it to someone else in the interim, but...
yeah, just do the next one. It's weird, it's in England. Usually it just goes to India. Or
yeah.
So our man on the ground, Brian Barish, tells us, I'm choosing to believe that the USA's World Cup qualifying campaign ended with their second in the preliminary qualifier, kind of like ignoring the end of Old Yeller. He says the Texas ground should be done in time for July the 13th MLC debut. That's this year. They're renovating Church Street Park in North Carolina for 3,500 people for MLC as well. Fort Lauderdale isn't being used due to the location being too far away from any other city. It's not as nice. So it'll be. I'd be surprised if they move away from the West Indies and the USA.
Gardner's continuing another over and tossing that one up to White, who defends. Yeah, you'd think. I'm not sure how many games were scheduled for the USA, but it can't have been too many of the tournament. Surely you could rearrange those games at other grounds in the Caribbean. The Caribbean has hosted a 50-over World Cup before. No shortage of grounds there, as White's playing a lovely shot out to the sweeper at point off the back foot, and she'll get a single, 144 for 6.
I think the ICC looks at this in the same way that the 94 World Cup for US soccer. It's that kind of, we're going to host this, and it's also a way to kind of showcase that there's this major league, cricket thing starting that you can go and watch on a regular basis. So to miss that opportunity and not have it come back later would be very difficult.
Gardner's bowling another good delivery that's defended by Jones. She's itching to get off the mark here, you can see. 9 deliveries now. She's looking around the field, but there are...
Brian saying, I'm wondering if that report to move is due to the USA cricket's financial issues.
There's another dot ball there. Jones defends.
I mean, if you followed Peter Della Pena, and you should, you would know that the US has many, many, many issues over the years. It's actually probably in a better state than it's ever been, but it's always a struggle, US cricket.
It's still a shit show.
Gardner's bowling a fuller delivery, and Jones is playing an attacking square cut, but she can't beat the backward point. Gardner throws her hands on her head. That one kept a bit low. She exposed all 3 stumps there, Jones, and...
It's a risky tactic,
it's a
staying low and
backing away to Ash Gardner. I'm not sure if Jones has been watching this innings from the dressing room.
She might have been watching the Australians when they got out a couple of those shots.
As she's playing another cut from the crease. No feet movement there, and she plays and misses. Healy with a neat take behind the stumps, and just the one run from that over, 143 for 6. The Australians racing through the overs today.
Yeah, the runs have completely dried up since that wicket. We're up to date on tweets at the moment, apart from a very rude one from Warren showing a photo of a 1950s TV and a remote, one of those cable remotes, saying a photo of Messi up unpairing his remote and TV. Yeah, thanks. I am old, but I've got technology.
Just back on the US, what sort of grounds do they usually play cricket on there? I haven't done a lot of research. Obviously, baseball doesn't really suit, or American football, as that one's a new over started by Garth and Wyatt. Slashed that behind point. Gully dives away to her left, but can't quite stop it, and that's 4 runs. 147 for 6. Wyatt moves to 38.
It depends where. There's some older grounds that are very nice, some of which they don't necessarily have access to all the time. There is, if you, I can't remember, Joseph O'Neill wrote about US cricket in a very book and they talk about overgrown outfields where everyone has to hit in the air because there's no runs to be got on the ground, and so it's a real mixture. You've got there's a lot of, obviously US is a big country, so there's lots of spaces where they can find places to play, but finding good facilities isn't that easy.
That's a fuller delivery, and Wyatt slashing again. That's well fielded. I think Mooney in there at Gully saves another 4 runs, but certainly if the Australians over-pitch, Wyatt is throwing the bat. She's 38 now, 53.
But there's definitely some bucolic classic grounds around the USA that are very, very lovely to play in, and much prized, I think.
I imagine a rather decent Indian expat community, at least in certain cities over there, as well as Australians and English, that you would think there'd be a decent amount of people playing cricket.
That's the hope for the ICC and US cricket, that they can leverage that community, because a few million people, it's actually that community
bigger than New Zealand.
Basically, yes, it's that untapped market that they've always said, yeah, we should be able to do this, but it's never come to fruition.
This is Garth's continuing with this stump to stump line, and that's a good delivery that's just shaping away a bit, and Wyatt's defending. So the 2 slips are back in. Well, it's almost a whitish first slip and then a third slip. Sort of hedging her bets, Healy, as she chirps away behind the stumps.
Chirps is great. Brian Barry says, I've met Peter Delapenna, a very nice dude, and had some kind words about my foray into covering American cricket as opposed to others who want to jump straight into covering Australia, England and the like.
Garth's in again, and Wyatt's playing another attacking shot, but Mooney again fields. So that's Perry actually at point, and there's no run.
There's lots to be said about associate cricket, and it's definitely a niche that there's lots of spaces for people to find. It's still underreported.
And Brown can't help having a go at me. She said, one parting shot. Did the Sydney Swans enforce the follow on yet? Bastard. I'm only interested in cricket.
Garth's bowling a shorter delivery that keeps low, and Wyatt's defending that off the back foot. The end of another over. The 8th over gone today in just half an hour. So the over 8's good. It's 147.
I think we're due a change, so I'm going to just step and let Caddy.
So have you got a substitute coming in for Ant, Ben?
I'm happy to just keep going. If
I mean, I can stay on if necessary. Is it just you and Russ in the studio?
Yeah, it's just Russ and I.
Oh, well, I'll hang in then.
Yeah,
that's
just
fine.
Hang in.
Unless Brian wants to jump on. I don't know what the time is in the US, Brian, but if you want to, you're very welcome to come in. We can send you the link.
Well, we've made a change and now another change, because Kat's maybe just putting her pads on at the back of the dressing room, but no sign of her yet.
Delayed by work. It's obviously a hard worker, so I finished a few hours ago.
Flexible hours these days. As Gardner's continuing, that one's hitting the pad. It might just have taken an inside edge as there's a stifled appeal, but that did look like it was cannoning into the stumps. Jones still can't get off the mark. She tried to whip that through mid-wicket, and I'll have to look at the replay here, but I think just got an inside edge, or maybe just sliding down leg side.
Worth more than an appeal, and they gave it.
As tossing that one up, and Jones is playing that gloriously. A lofted drive over cover, and it's gone for 4. She's off the mark with a boundary. The 150 is up for England. 151 for 6, just 117 behind. Edging closer to getting that down to 2 figures.
Definitely not out of it. But
No.
that previous shot from Jones, I think because they've got those 2 short fielders on the onside, she was really trying to whip it squarer and really just ended up playing completely across the line.
So that's another good delivery by Gardner that's defended, I think. I suppose we haven't seen too many pop up on the offside, but I'm surprised there's maybe not a silly point in there as well. Perhaps Healy going for a bit more sort of run-saving protection than wickets.
Yeah, maybe she's worried about the runs.
Gardner's... that's a missed stumping. Jones has danced down the pitch. She's missed it. It's bobbled in Healy's hands, and Jones has got her bat down in time, but that would have been out by about 3 feet. So will the Australians rue that chance? It was a regulation take, it must be said.
It bounced a little bit.
You've got to take those.
Should definitely have taken it. And by the time it came back down from the bobble, Jones was in. Although we're going to watch it.
We're going to watch it, as is the law in cricket. When the bails come off, you must review, even if the player is well home. I guess you just never know if the bat bobbled up in the air or something similar. But anyway, they're having a look. But yeah, it did bounce, and Jones definitely was trying to find that sort of same shot over cover again, and the ball straight and beat the outside edge, and it just bobbled up in Healy's gloves. She took it on the rebound, whipped the bails off, but I think Jones was home.
How's your voice been? Do you need me to do ball by ball?
Yeah, let's swap, actually.
Yes, a big bobble. Jones was well out. Actually, she's only just on the line when the stumps get broken.
Wow.
We're seeing a front-on view
Whoa.
because that's obviously the best view. Checking for the edge, no edge.
She definitely
It's
had
very
the
close
bat
to the edge.
well grounded, but maybe...
Yeah, but on the line.
Maybe
wow.
it was on the line, From the initial look, it was, she's got the bat down. But
This might be closer than it looks. Hit the top of Healy's gloves. She's probably out here. That was actually on the line as the bail is broken, and there's a lot of cheering from the Australian side. He's got away with one.
Forget everything I said. Always check the decision. She's almost grounded the bat and never really even got it behind the line.
Yeah, it's kind of she had to kind of swing back around, so she's doing a big arc, and it's out. So Jones out for 4, I think.
Yes, and that's the 5-wicket haul for Ash Gardner.
1 to go for the 10-wicket haul, and 3 wickets to do it. So
Getting a lot of pats on the back. She'll hold the ball up, and the most relieved woman in England will be the Australian captain, Elisa Healy.
She's bowled fabulously well, Gardner.
I'm not sure why she didn't take one hand off the bat and throw it back. She's kept 2 hands on it, which has almost skewed the bat to come out of the crease rather than just fling it back with the one arm. It was a strange...
She took the long way around.
Yeah, a strange way to just get your bat back in your crease. Perhaps she panicked a bit. But anyway, she's gone. It actually flicked the grill of the helmet, of Healy's helmet on the way up, and then bobbled up again. And Healy actually did pretty well to take it on the second attempt.
Yeah, she took the wickets off very quickly after it actually came down. So recovered her poise, I guess is a good way of saying it.
Just on the US cricket grounds, Leah says there is an international standard ground in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. West Indies play some LOI games there, actually. And Brian says there are a few private facilities on the East Coast, otherwise it's just public parks. There are a couple of complexes in Texas, otherwise it's like Aussie rules, wherever you can find open space. And Moggs sent us a picture of his poor pussycat in a collar. They hate that. After her chemotherapy. She is not looking happy.
No, poor kiddies. I'm interested, Brian, who hopefully is still listening.
He's on his way to work, he says, so he's about to head to work, so he can't make it on the stream.
But if he is listening, I'm curious whether or not there is any plans for sharing AFL and cricket, because they make a good match within obviously the southern states of Australia, where you can have a winter and a summer sport. Here's Gardner, and she's got an inside edge on that first ball into the new batter. It's Eccleston. Gets it safely out to mid-on.
It's a good battle here. Spinner v spinner. Gardner, Eccleston. 19 wickets between them for the match.
The big challenge for US cricket really has been they've had no junior programs to speak of. For a long time, it's just been expats playing amongst themselves, and they don't have a base of young players coming through. Changing slowly is Gardner's for Eccleston to this ball, and it's defended. End of the over, 7 for 151.
A reminder of the kitten name poll, round 2 is in progress. So get in quickly because it's not such a long poll this time, is it?
No, it'll be done by lunch.
Yeah, everything might be.
End of lunch. Yeah, well, that's right. We might be tweeting after the end of play for the finals. We've got 3 cats to name, so there'll be 3 finals with the top seeds out of the second round.
Oh, and Mog says, alert, alert, Zimbabwe crossed 400 in the final over. So there you go. Poor old USA. Williams was out in the end for 174, I think it was, from 101 deliveries.
They're not a deep side, Zimbabwe necessarily, but Williams, Irvine and Sikandar Raza have been absolutely on fire in this tournament, and they've put on a lot of big totals.
It's got to have been great for cricket in Zimbabwe too, because they've had huge home crowds and so much enthusiasm.
Here's Garth into White. She's on the back foot and defending out to point. I feel like White hasn't faced a ball in a fair while.
Yeah.
Will she go? It's hard for her to get more attacking, but is this where she sort of just starts having a crack at everything? Although Eccleston can hang around out there.
I think she'll have faith in Eccleston, but once those last 2 come out, she's going to have to try and farm the strike.
She's going to have to Ben Stokes it, Headingley style.
1 for 26 for Garth. Finally got that first test wicket earlier on. This one's past the bat of Wyatt. She's defending, and Healy does well to take it. Just moving away.
Yeah, it's just the odd one that's going away from the bat. That really did just hold its line off the pitch. That was the perfect ball. Good crowd in today too for the end of this match. A work day, but there's
free admission.
Yeah, a few thousand in, which is good to see.
But it's free admission today too, which is good.
Garth short and White pulls. He doesn't get a full piece of it. He's going to chase on for Perry. Pull it in and probably keep it to 2. Takes the score on to 7 for 153.
Wonder if Perry's a bit annoyed that she didn't get a chance at Jones.
Well, they brought Garth on though, didn't they? So she had a chance to put her hand up. White on to 40.
Perry hasn't been used at all this innings with the ball.
I'd love to see Alana King get a couple of overs.
Here's Garth. It's full to White, and she's driving. She's driving well, but there should be a deep point out there, and there is. Toss back in, just a single. Garth will get a chance at Eccleston.
Yeah, Alana King yet to be used, which is interesting. There's obviously Gardner doing the job as the sole spinner so far, but yeah, I think there's cause for having the 2 spinners go in tandem just to wrap things up.
When one of your spinners has got 5 wickets, you'd think you'd give a go to
at least give her 1 over 3. She'd walk off and say, oh, well, if I had got a bowl, maybe I would have got 3 wickets.
There's been a change of umpire. Sophie McClellan is a reserve umpire who she's umpiring. I'm not sure who she's on in place of.
Here's Garth into Eccleston. It's just sort of a length, and she's defending out past Gully, but Point will pick it up. No run.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen that in a test match.
No.
The reserve umpire. Does the third umpire come out?
No, they have.
Or do they actually have a reserve umpire?
A reserve umpire, yeah.
What do they do the rest of the time? Just walk around with drinks.
Pretty good gig for 5 days. That's all I'll say if you're the reserve
Here's
umpire.
Garth, short of a length. Eccleston defending out towards cover.
I'm not sure what the match fee is, but I'm interested in that job.
I think you probably have to do the real job most of the time. It's on rotation.
I actually think the best job in Test cricket is when you're batting on day 5 and you're in the batting side and you're already out.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you've made like a handy 30 or 40 or maybe 50 or whatever, and you just get to come to the ground the next day and see your team knock off the runs. No pressure.
It's always
That's a pretty good day.
Good in club cricket if you're out before tea when you're batting and you can just hoe in and then not have to worry about it.
As long as you don't have to go out and umpire.
Oh, yeah.
That's the worst thing about going out early.
There's some good jobs going supervising the cameras. I went to the West Indies test at Optus last year, and I was at Square Lead sitting next to a guy whose job at $25 an hour was just to sit next to the camera and make sure nobody touched it. You know,
wow.
the DRS camera.
Here's Gardner into wide. She's on the back foot and playing it past the gully. She'll get a single, brings Eccleston onto the strike. Gardner probably won't mind too much of that. The field was pretty spread. Score goes on to 7.55.
Yeah, the old sight screen attendant, which probably doesn't exist anymore because it's all automated, but that would have been a good job.
They still need them because they always
break down. Just
the problem with that job is you're very likely to fall asleep in the sun, right?
Yeah.
Here's Gardner. It's full, and Eccleston's playing that around her pad. Gardner thought it was through. Healy thought it was through, but she's managed to get it to mid-wicket.
Low again.
Definitely not the pitch to play with an angled bat. You definitely want to keep your bat straight, but that was really a whip across the line.
Stepping across the stumps. This time she's played forward. She's edging, but there's no one in the gully region. Darcy Brown will run back and stop it. Just the one, I think. Eccleston still... Actually, she walked that one. It was already back at the keeper, and she was still trotting down. Surprised Healy didn't have a throw at the stumps.
So 5 for 51. Are we reaching for the record books of best test figures? There's still 3 to go.
One away from 10. That one's just short of a length and why it defends. Have to look up the best test figures for a female bowler.
I mean, there is an 8 for the taking, potentially.
Here's Gardner. It's full and White's driving, and it'll be driving out to deep point. Brown's out there and quickly keeps it to 1.
Yeah, the best is 13 wickets in a match by Shalza Khan for Pakistan against West Indies in 2004. But there's only 3 11s and half a dozen 10s.
This ball by Gardner's full, and Eccleston's just defending. Didn't look particularly comfortable, but she's got away with it. It's the end of the over.
Yeah, so Gardner on 9. She's got the potential to move up to second. Might be getting ahead of ourselves here, but she's definitely looks like she's going to bowl unchanged for the session.
Ravinaya sends us photos of 2 wicket keepers saying Healy and Jones are adequate but not great keepers, are they? I think that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think Healy's ever been...
Now here's the comparison, a great keeper and a legend. I presume the legend is Sarah Taylor. The bloke, I don't know. I'm not good with faces of England cricketers, but if you guys can look at that tweet stream, you can probably tell me who it is.
Do so shortly. I've got the best figures for an Australian as Garth comes in, and it's White's defending or trying to drive, but she didn't get a full piece of it and just dribbles out to the offside. The best figures by an Australian in tests are 11 for 16 by Betty Wilson, which is
11 for 16.
That's
16.
Not a typo.
1958, and then she also took 10 for 65. Very, very good cricketer, Betty Wilson.
England were all out for 35 and then 76 for 8 in the second innings. The match was drawn.
Wow.
Australia made 38 in the first innings, so it must have been a ranked pitch.
Spicy pitch.
Garth short of a length to White and was played out to point.
How was that game a draw? Lots of rain, I guess.
Yeah, man, lost
Must
it.
have been.
Or was it a 50 over test?
First, I'm going to have to look up the scorecard. This one, that's a fascinating scorecard.
It was
Two
played
score-
at St Kilda.
2 scores under 50 and it's a draw.
Price has 10 for 107
Yeah.
against India, and Gordon 10 for 118 against England. There hasn't been a 10 for since 1984. Here is Garth, and it's short of a length, and White's played out in the offside. She takes the quick single. Has faith in Eccleston to face up to Garth.
Yeah, she's doing well here,
That
White.
match had
44 now.
no play on the first day, had 2.5 innings on the second day. Then there was a rest day, if you don't mind. And day 3, they obviously didn't get through the whole thing. England was 76 for 8 off 64 overs at the end of the match.
Yeah, they could have used that rest day. They never used to play on Sundays, did they, in test cricket? You'd play a couple of days, have Sunday off, go to church or whatever you were supposed to do on Sunday, and then come back and finish off the test match.
Yeah, in the 70s they realised all the Australians were heathens and you didn't need rest days on a Sunday anymore. Here's Garth, it's short, and Eccleston's pulling from miles outside of stump. She's going to get at least 2 as Perry runs around, but wasn't a shot of confidence.
No, it wasn't, but runs nonetheless.
Perhaps it was a shot of confidence, but it didn't.
It was a shot of confidence. It wasn't a well-executed shot.
Not sure why it was probably feeling confident at the other end.
Just speaking of rest days, I think there were still rest days in England up until the 90s or so, but there was a...
And here. I
and
think the 80s we still had rest days. I know certainly in Perth at the WAC of the very first test in 1970 there was a rest day.
It's White facing deep in the crease, driving on the offside. She'll get it single out to cover.
And there was a Boxing Day test 1994, I think, against England. Actually started on Christmas Eve. I'm not sure why. I'd have to, but that's just a random memory that came to my head. We can look that up. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it started Christmas Eve. Obviously, they had Christmas Day
I think that's
off,
right, yeah.
and then they continued on Boxing Day. So
Was this one of those ones where the weekend was Christmas and Boxing Day, so they were going to play it from Monday to Friday? And
unless maybe there was a New
didn't
Year's
work.
Eve one-day game they were trying to squeeze in or something after the test, but I'll have to look that up.
it's interesting. Garth is short of a length to Eccleston. She defends. Into the over, 7 for 160.
The so-called tradition of the Boxing Day test is a bit of a myth. I think
Only sort of started in the
1987
80s,
was
yeah.
really when it started. The bloke in that picture is Ben Folkes. I don't see enough of him on TV. Oh God! The
Should be in the side, Ben Folkes,
tweets out long poll for pussy naming. Click here, and he's actually given us a click to the Patreon link for Sugar and Spice Cat Rescue, so that's good. Mike says the DRS guy probably would want a game at least 4 days a week minimum. What a gig that would be. Yeah, I mean, being paid to go and watch the cricket and sit next to a camera is not bad, is it?
Yeah, the Secretary of Sugar and Spice has messaged me and said, please thank Muttley for the signing up to our Patreon. So thank you very much, Muttley. We greatly appreciate it. Here's Gardner bowling to wide, sort of a length, and she plays out to cover for no runs. The other thing about this Betty Wilson match is that she got 7 for 7 in the first innings, and she then still came on third change in the second.
Just giving everyone a go.
Gardner, it's full and into the pads of White, but it's miles down the leg side.
I loved Healy's appeal there. Gardner did not move. Healy had the 2 hands up, now having a good laugh. She certainly doesn't look worried as the captain.
Gardner gave the appeal. She's like, I've beaten her, but I know it's not out. So I'm just going to give it that kind of look. This one's full outside of stump. White's played out to cover, and they tells Eccleston to go back, probably wisely, because there was absolutely no chance of a run there.
They're doing well here, Australia, now to slow the boundaries down at least after those wickets.
Here's White. She's driving. Well, Gardner to White, and she's driving. It's going to be picked up at mid-off. Eccleston looking for the second, but it's not on. 2 balls left in the over, so Gardner will get a chance at the tail. White's under 46. It's been a really good innings from her.
It has, hasn't it?
Just the 106 to win. They're almost through that psychological barrier. If these two could just put on 20 or 30 and get it down to 70 or 80, you just never know.
You do wonder what's in White's head. Is do I try and hit out? Here's Gardner. It's Eccleston's on the front foot defending out to mid-wicket.
I mean, Eccleston looks, relatively comfortable.
She does, but she's playing some
the odd weird shot. Plays the odd big shot, so the concentration levels maybe not what is required.
She's on the front foot defending now to a short cover. It's so her concentration in batting is not the same as her concentration while bowling.
Yeah. Mog says the Boxing Day Test tradition is more accurately named than the Collingwood-Essendon Anzac match. Yeah. Well, I mean, they do say
the same age.
In England, it's a tradition if it's been going for 200 years. In Australia, if it's been going for 2 years, it'll do. Leah says my favourite keeper is Jack Russell, who invented olfactory sledging by refusing to shower for the duration of a test. That'd go down real well. Yeah.
He was a fantastic keeper. The old Terry Toweling hat.
Yeah.
The moustache.
He's a painter as well. Beautiful paintings.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He did one of the covers for County Cricket Matters, which is Annie Chave's magazine, for free. And yeah, it's just he's brilliant with the light in his paintings.
Tali McGrath's going to come back on, disappointing everyone who was hoping to see Alana King.
I really think Healy's missing a trick here. That you bring King on, she'll toss it up. You're more likely to draw the false shot.
Eccleston especially.
Eccleston would go for it. White goes for shots, whereas the medium pace is bowling stump to stump.
It's possible Alana King is still injured as a result of that blow on the elbow yesterday.
Well, possibly, but then Jess Jonason's still there as well.
There's no shortage of spinners.
It's going to be White facing. Grab White of the crease, and White's going to turn that off at pads for the single. Score goes under 163.
Or perhaps, Darcy Brown's only bowled the 2 or 3 overs, but just with that extra pace, if we saw what Filer did yesterday, if you get it in the right area at that sort of 120 k's an hour, which it can do a bit more damage, skid through a bit more than sort of McGrath, who's just more of a medium pace bowler. So I think she might be definitely worth a go as well.
Nicholson wouldn't have faced that much quicker bowling. White's going to probably struggle for timing more at that kind of pace.
But you do feel Healy's got one eye on just keeping the runs down.
It's McGrath, it's full, and Nicholson's trying to drive, but it's just chipped to, I was going to say mid-on, but mid-wicket's very enthusiastic. It's run out in front of her to pick it up. Some players love to have the ball in hand all the time. Not Johnny Rhodes level though. No. He used to go and run down to finally to pick up the bowler's cap and then run to point, and then never seen someone with so much energy. It's McGrath, it's full, and she's driving Eccleston to a ball that was swinging out. Can't get it past mid-off. No timing.
I think Johnny Rhodes was one of those cricketers who clearly had a good case of ADD going for him, didn't he?
He's certainly up and about. Very good player. I think his batting is often forgotten in the Jonty Rhodes conversation. He was a very good player, particularly in one-day international. I think he averaged somewhere around 40 and made a lot of runs for South Africa.
Great. While the crease again. This one seamed in. There's a half a peel as it hit Eccleston on the pads, but the angle was taking it down the leg side.
Too high too, I'd say.
Yeah, that was definitely too high, but Healy's brought the 2 slips closer together now. There's sort of regulation first and second.
Gra's mixing it up. There's a couple of outswingers and then that off cutter that spun in on Eccleston. It's practically just a spinner. Particularly that pace. This one's the outswinger again, and she's defending out to cover.
And found that dead spot outside the off stump again.
Yeah, she's coming wide of the crease to see if she can take advantage of that ball. It's going to stay low.
Yeah, the runs have really dried up. Eccleston 2 off 15.
McGrath again. This one's swinging in, and Eccleston's done well to play that. Just on the crease. End of the over. England 7 for 162. White on 47, Eccleston on 2. Australia's been happy to let White just take the single and attack Eccleston. Still need the 3 wickets though.
The Naked Fun porn bot's never one to miss a chance. He says, always keep the ball in hand. Click here. Oh dear. Very quiet over on YouTube today. We do have 16 people watching, but obviously deciding to not say anything because they have nothing to say, which is fair enough.
Just engrossed by the cricket, perhaps.
We'll probably due a change at the end of this over.
Is
Kat is here. I need to let her
Excellent.
in. But Ben, I might leave you on summary.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Oh, that ball from Gardner has stayed very low. It came through at ankle height to Wyatt, and she's managed to clamp the bat down on it.
It actually rolled along the ground.
Jeez.
She's played that very, very well, Wyatt, because that ball did not get up, and she was on the back foot. It's come through
Whoa.
just barely above the ankle. And Gardner's... Well, I think she's impressed that Wyatt managed to keep it. And this one, she's on the back foot again, and it didn't really get up. Defending, it got up more than the last one, but it's got to get into Wyatt's head a little bit that this ball is staying down. That's what Gardner will want, because we want to throw that little toppy in for the outside edge. She's again, this one is just a normal spinner. Wyatt's defending on the offside. It's going to get a run through point. Takes her on to 48.
They've dried up the boundaries and the twos, White. She's only getting singles, and then Eccleston's tying up the other end, so just wonder if she's getting a bit frustrated that the scoreboard's not ticking over.
Here's Eccleston facing Gardner as she tries to drive. It's straight to the short cover on the bounce. It was a real French cricket shot by Wyatt, wasn't it?
It was very well kept out, and that was Gardner's 6th wicket for all money until she just got the bat down.
It's Gardner wide of the stumps. It was the straight ball. Eccleston's had a flash at it, and it's gone through past the outside edge to Healy. Throws her head in the air. Eccleston, she knows she wasn't supposed to play at it, but she couldn't help herself.
Well, I think she's got to play at those. If they're not going to bat out 75 overs for a draw, I wouldn't have thought. So
She knew she was
short and wide. You may as well have a swing.
I think she knew she was done by the change in spin. This one's full, and Eccleston's driven that very well. Bounces off the pitch and over cover, and it's run away to the fence for 4. A beautiful shot, that one. Takes her on to 6. Score 7 for 167 at the end of the over. And I think we're going to do a change, so I'll go let Kat in. And
might be a drinks break.
It should be, yes. So, Josie Oakers joined us with his normal comment. Says, afternoon, we're doomed. And Ravi says, alas, I agree with Walwo Pom. I suspect we're doomed.
It certainly looks that way, but I mean, you never know. You keep playing your shots, you keep the scoreboard ticking over. It's better to try and get close and possibly have a chance at the end than just defend and lose by 100 runs. So England's made about the 50 runs this morning for the loss of a couple of wickets, but the run rate has been good, and you just never know if you got to be in it to win it. So Australia still has to get those 3 wickets.
You've got a cliche jar in there, haven't you?
Yes, in it to win it. Forgot about the cliche show. It's been a while.
Yeah. I suspect there's a few more perpetrators who haven't actually coughed up.
Next wicket, very important here.
Crucial next star.
This partnership is crucial in the state of the game, you think.
Oh, Kat's with us. Hello, Kat.
Oh,
You're
hello,
on mute.
Kat.
Hi there. G'day. I've just been at work. I've only just finished work like 5 minutes ago. So that's how dedicated I am to White Line Wireless and Gorilla.
Excellent. So you're aware of the state of the game?
Indeed, I've been watching it surreptitiously while I've been at work, and in fact, telling the rest of my board meeting exactly what the score was at every moment. So,
what sort of board is it?
It's a hospital board, but it was a dinner, so there was some red wine involved. There was some red wine involved, so it wasn't all. Well, it was still work, but anyway, it's done now. So, have we got any updates on the kittens? Did they get fed? Not yet. It hasn't been lunchtime yet, right?
No, but the names are coming closer. The poll is out there.
Yes, the poll is important. Everyone go to the feed for @WhiteLineWire on Twitter or the Gorilla Cricket feed and vote on your favourite kitten name. We have 3 kittens to name. So Ben, what's your favourite name so far?
I like Meow and Ali, I think, is my favourite. I just had one myself. Surely Sir Garfield Sobers is the best cat name for a cricketer.
Yeah, I must admit, I find it hard to go past scratching Tendulkar. Although Tabby Beaumont is pretty good.
Is Cat on mute? Or? Yeah.
Somebody's turned you off, Cat. You're not on mute, but I think Russ has turned you
I've been turned off. Someone's turned me off.
Oh, that's better.
I love Tabby Beaumont. I think Tabby Beaumont is really spectacular.
James Bush says Eccleston can win this test by herself. We're not doomed. Wouldn't that be amazing after her bowling effort for her to stay there and be the Nathan Lyon of this win?
Well,
or even the Pat Cummins of this win.
Yeah.
So there is 101 to go. Could end very quickly, but you never know. England have just got to hang in there. Eccleston's certainly been playing. She's looking quite good defensively. I mean, there's always one that keeps low or does something off the pitch, and you can't do much about it. But if they keep, taking the runs when they're there and get to lunch with, 40, 50 runs to get.
I think it's always telling what gets shown on the big screen, right? So instead of England needs 101, 99, whatever to win, it always says Australia needs
3 wickets.
X wickets to win. So I think that tells us in which direction this game is tipping. So hopefully, I think I'm on ball by ball now. Is that correct, as we're resuming?
Yeah, go for
it.
Yep.
Anyway, we have McGrath bowling full, and this is edge to gully. A drop to us. That dropped at point. I couldn't quite see where that went, but it is a drop.
I think it might have been just short and wide. But we will wait for the replay.
It was exciting.
It was
uppish. Looked exciting. It looked like something was going to happen. So we will wait for the replay there, but White is on 49. She's not on strike, though. Eccleston on 6 is on strike. And McGrath's looking for another wicket, that's for sure. We're not seeing a replay here. Did you see a replay, guys?
No.
Anyway, McGrath is coming back in and she's bowling again. It's a full toss, in fact, and it's just bunted back down towards the bowler by Eccleston as if she was just in the nets doing a bit of a warm-up.
So exactly 100 to win now.
The scoreboard did flash that up. They flashed up the milestone, but still, surely they could show both options. Just a thought.
Oh, it's awfully complicated.
3 wickets for Australia, 100 runs for England, and it still could be a tie. There is one slip in place as this next ball's defensively back to the bowler. Again, it goes through her fingers and to the mid-off, who cleans up, and there's no run.
I assume we have.
So it'll be White, wouldn't it? White, who's the key to winning this. If England are going to win it, White needs to get back on strike. Eccleston, though, as you said, doing a good job holding up her end effectively. 6 from 21.
Yeah, we're really waiting for White to explode. I guess Eccleston just needs to rotate the strike to ensure White has enough of it.
And this one, Eccleston's just taking again defensively, squeezing it out to cover point. Another dot ball. So Eccleston, the bowling doesn't look like it's really testing Eccleston that much, although we've had a couple of almost edges. So you never know what's going to come next.
I think it's the ones keeping low that are the biggest threat in many ways.
Eccleston looking nervous under the lid, and she just bangs this ball into the ground. Awkwardly, she could have played it on, but it was safe, and she remains on 6, and the score on 168 for 7 with 100 runs left for England to win. We may not get to lunch and see the kitten feeding. It might be all over by then.
We'll just replay yesterday, so nobody will know.
How good is the kind of film clip? As I'll just watch this next little ball, and McGrath is beating Eccleston. It is straight through to the keeper. She doesn't manage to edge it, but it can't have been far off. And that's the end of the over, 168 for 7.
Well, our tweeters are very quiet at the moment.
We were talking about it. We were calling for Alana King before. She hasn't bowled yet. She did get hit on the elbow, but haven't heard any official word from the dressing room. But the reports overnight were that Australia were expecting her to be able to bowl. But perhaps after those 2 early wickets, they thought they might not strain the injury if they didn't need to bowl her. But perhaps if it gets a bit more close and Healy feels like she needs a spinner from each end. But yeah, they've also got Jess Johnson as well, who hasn't come on. So the plan does seem to be Gardner, bowling the Eccleston roll, just tying up an end and rotating the quicks from the other end.
Gardner, with the figures of 5 for 58, is coming back in, and this time Wyatt is whipping a ball through mid-wicket, and she'll get runs out in this region. So she's wasting no time. She's not going to die wondering. I think you've said that before, and that's her 50.
Good on her. Are we jingling?
We
jingle, 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 50, 50, 50.
Yeah, that'll do.
There you go. That's a maiden 50.
More stings on the iPad than I remember. A bit harder to find.
There's quite a lot there. So she's never got 50 before. This is her test debut, in fact. And this next one, though, she squirts to a mid-off position and there's no run. So Eccleston back in the defensive again.
Yeah, age 32, veteran of 146 T20 games and 94 ODIs and first test match.
Yep, there's a first time for everything. You can teach an old dog new tricks here. Next one defended to the onside this time. But yeah, such a shame, isn't it, that someone with the talent of Wyatt only gets to play a test now and we see that she can do 50. She can just peel off 50s at her will. So we have a slip and a fourth slip. I don't know, what would you call that?
To a spinner, almost a gully, maybe.
Yeah, sort of.
Can you have a gully to a spinner?
I mean, I guess you could. It feels like she's a bit closer in than a gully, but maybe it is a gully. Anyway, progress here for England as Eccleston sweeping this one. It's a fantastic shot, lots of intent, and it's heading out to the boundary. It's going to reach the rope for 4 runs. Good work, Eccleston.
Well, this is good stuff now for Eccleston. She's into double figures, couple of boundaries now, and that was some great intent there. She saw the straighter delivery, and that was probably not a bad shot to play. Probably safer than just defending on the back foot. She played a rarely where have we seen the sweep shot being used against Gardner, but Eccleston used it to great effect there.
But it feels like Gardner, and she's already got 9 wickets for this match, and she's spinning the ball in beautifully. It feels like she's going to be in danger of getting a wicket every time she bowls. This next one, though, is defended again. Gardner's figures 5 for 63 in England, 173 for 7. The total being whittled away here. Over to you, Messi.
So I should warn you, this is a tweet you should not take too personally. From Ravi Nair, he says, I don't like this commentary team. You're all Australian.
See, Ravi, we hear messages as English. We know he barracks for Australia, but yeah, we can hear messages. His accent for us is English. His accent for English people is Australian. He just can't win. He's kind of a bit of both.
Both or neither, yes. Yeah.
And the scoreboard's still showing the 3 wickets to win. At what point does it start showing the runs? Is it 50? 60?
They
70?
can't fit both on the banner, right?
No.
I think it's always 3 wickets to win. Anyway, McGrath's looking for that wicket, and there's this one slip in place, but this one's straying onto the leg stump line and defended away by Wyatt this time. He's on 50.
Yeah, Wyatt. She does have 4 international centuries, 2 T20 hundreds. Anyone that can make a T20 century can give the ball a whack. So if there's anyone England need out there, it is her.
Yeah. Another full toss from McGrath. I don't know if that's deliberate or she's just losing her ball slipping out of her hands. It's driven down to mid-on for no run.
Yeah, strike rate of 122 in T20 internationals with a high score of 124. So if there are runs to get and she has to do it all, she'll back herself.
Good economy from McGrath. Of course, that doesn't matter at the moment. There's plenty of time for England to win this if they were so inclined, as this ball is struck out on the back foot to point And again, straight to the fielder, so that's another dot ball.
Missed out a bit there, White. That was short and wide and sat up, and a metre either side of Perry there. It would have been 4 runs.
Yeah, it doesn't look quite so dangerous here, does it, McGrath versus Wyatt? Looks like Wyatt's looking to score, and she's about to. And this next one, though, squirts off a thick edge, but it's gone past Perry at point, and it's heading out to the sweeper in the deep. And they've taken, did they take the run? They did, and that moves Wyatt to 51 and the score to 174 for 7.
Yeah, I think she's definitely not sort of shielding Eccleston at the other end. They're taking every run out there. It might be a different story at the fall of the next wicket, I suspect.
There may not be another wicket to fall, Ben Rennick. I mean,
there may not.
Well set. There may not be one. This next one's Yorker length, but it's on the pads. It's sent out towards a mid-wicket position for another dot there. Eccleston making good contact every time now that she is dealt up a good delivery.
We were trying to draw comparisons with Edgbaston before. Kat, a similar total, 267 versus 282. Kate Cross played the Scott Boland night watchman role and did her job on 13. Eccleston, also the leading spinner, could play the Nathan Lyon support role. It's all stacking up.
Oh, this next ball swinging in the air and hitting the rough edge on the pitch, but defended nicely by Eccleston. End of the over, 174 for 7. And Eccleston survives another over. She's really doing a great job there with 10 for 31. So any tweets there, any interaction?
Yeah, Warren wants to know what flavour Fancy Feast was served at Cat's with dinner.
Tuna, it's always tuna.
Oh, yes.
Actually, I think they're too little. They only drink milk. They have formula of some kind. Fancy Feast formula.
I must say, Russ looks extraordinarily efficient doing it. I guess he's had lots of practice.
Yeah.
But he's firm but gentle with them.
It's such a shame that probably these kittens will be rehoused at some point when they're old enough, and wonderful cricket names, whatever we end up with, will be rejected by the new owners, no doubt. Unless we can find cricketing owners for them.
Yes. Well, I think we should send them all to Mog. I mean, what's the difference between 5 and 8?
So is Mog's? Let me ask Mog this question, as we have Gardner coming back into the attack, and this ball squirts off the edge again, and White gets a single, putting Eccleston back on strike, who we presume is going to dot out the next 5 balls. Anyway, we should ask Mog, because he's got so many cats, is his name short for Moggy? He'll answer that himself on Twitter.
Assuming he's still listening, he may have to be grafting to get some money to pay for the cat's chemotherapy.
Oh dear, could do. So Gardner is around the wicket to Eccleston, the right-hander. She turns the ball into a short mid-wicket. There's a bit of a misfield, and they pretend they're going to take a run, but I don't think they're risking anything at this stage.
It would have been a good single to take, though, to get White back on strike. There was probably could have taken that one.
Oh, you've gone quiet.
And there's a straight delivery. I might just jump in here from Gardner, and that's been given LBW. It's pitched on leg stump, gone straight on. Eccleston off the back foot's been wrapped on the pads, and I think they've reviewed. They have, but the finger went up. The only issue could be height, potentially, or maybe pitching outside leg stump. But this could be a key wicket Australia needed.
And my stupid Zoom keeps going on mute, or someone is putting me on mute every time I try and talk. So that is annoying. But anyway, that is a wonderful wicket for Australia.
Yeah, that's plum.
Fairly plum.
It's hitting the top of middle stump by the looks.
And it has been given out, so it just needs to be clipping the bails, which... It's
no edge.
No edge. It's definitely in line. The only issue that could have been was height, because it's above the knee roll and her leg's actually off the ground.
She's reasonably short. I think that's out.
we all suspect it'll be taking the bails, and it could be 10 for Gardner.
Goodness me.
Yep. History.
Fantastic. So that is the review lost for England, but they may as well be using them up at this point.
They had to use
Australia
that one,
now need only 2 wickets to win. The score 175 for 8, and we are well and truly into the tail, with the exception of Wyatt, right?
Well, Wyatt's got to... well, she's really got to do it all herself now, I think.
Yeah.
That was a decent little partnership there. The 7th wicket fell at 151, so they managed to put on 24, but still 90.
You wonder about the
92
wisdom
away.
of taking a run off the first ball of the over, don't you?
Yes, well done to remember that, Messi. We did call that out at the time, and I think you're right. Maybe she should have been farming the strike a little more. I was just going to say before, when we heard about Alana King not bowling as much as we would like to see, and she's hurt herself on the elbow, has anyone mentioned that she may be a King?
Oh. Oh.
Is there
You're not even a dad and you come up with dad jokes.
Is there a dad joke?
So if anyone has exception to my terrible puns, you have to tweet at Messengers and he'll accept all abuse.
That was pretty good, though.
No, puns are part of our currency, aren't they?
Indeed. What a shame I haven't got time to be going off onto Twitter and making that particular comment there, but still. England struggling here, but you just never know. I mean, if Australia can survive to the end of an Ashes win with Cummins and Lyon at the crease, England can do anything. These women are superstars, and they bat very deep when they're batting for their own county and their own Kia superstar team. And we don't know what Lauren Filer quite is capable of, though, do we, guys?
No, but we are into the Laurens. Filer and Bell to come.
Is that a bad sign for England that we're into the Laurens? Gardner, the dangerous Gardner, is bowling around the wicket to Lauren Filer, and she's defending this ball back down the pitch, and she looks petrified, if I had to say how she looks.
Oh, there's nothing to lose, though, for Lauren Filer. It's not going to be her fault if they don't make the runs. So
yeah, absolutely.
She may as well just have a swing here.
She's had another little swing there, somehow managed to cram the bat down on that ball, and Gardner's too classy to do a sledge, but the look on her face there, the smile on her face as Lauren only just manages to get her bat in the way of that one, kind of said it all.
Yes, you can see the sort of pressure release on the Australians. You feel they think they've got this.
So this one squirted to a short third, and Filer considers a run, but that would have been a little foolish off the last ball of the over. And England are 175 for 8, with Australia needing 2 wickets to win.
Mog says, I can confirm I got the Mog name well before I got any cats. However, nominative determinism, maybe?
Could be.
Ravi says, I saw Wyatt score 124 not out at the Brabourne Stadium in Bombay in 2018. It was the best T20 innings I've ever seen. Jay says, hello, Jay. Good in theory, but Mog would rename the cats after Assyrian vengeance demons. That's probably true.
Yep. Anyhow, now we have Wyatt on strike to McGrath, and she's just hitting a ball into the turf. Safely, it dribbles out into the covers, no run. I've got a fact here about Lauren Filer. She has a twin sister. Her twin sister also plays cricket, and her name is Jodie. She plays for Somerset. And in fact, they have both played for Somerset. I want to see the Filer twins for England. Wyatt is lustily swinging into this, but a beautiful stop there by Jonathan, I think, in the covers, and they
take the single.
Taken one, yes.
It's the second ball of the over, so I'm not sure the tactics are right there, or whether she thought it might have got through the field and they're already down the other end. But
well, I can tell you that she made 21 off 19 deliveries in a T20 match in May, so she can actually score some runs. batting
She's
at
been playing
number
for
8.
Welsh Fire, hasn't she? Well, she played for Welsh Fire?
Yes, I
that's
think
the
so.
team she was playing for. Okay, well, she's capable of making some runs. Anyway, she's on 0. It's a full ball, and she hangs her bat out and almost edges it through to Healy, who takes it very well outside off stump on the bounce.
Yeah, this is not in the 100, but in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. She plays for the Western Storm.
Uh-huh. Excellent. All her stats are mainly about bowling, but let's see what she can do as this next ball's a beauty from McGrath. It's swinging in, and it was in line with middle stump, and it would have taken out middle stump, but she got her bat in the way of it, Ben Rennick.
She did. She played that well in the end. It
Yeah.
did come in a mile, and McGrath can't believe it. She thought she had the LBW or clean bowled there.
Healy is like a little kid with her facial expressions.
She's the most...
They just
I don't
know,
wait.
This one, though, is back of a length, and it's spanked out into the covers. No chance of a run there. The field is quite offensive and right up there, preventing even a single. And it doesn't look like Filer's going to be able to hit over the top of them to me, Ben Rennick, but she may be able to.
I think Healy's thinking about the celebrations here too. There's not often you win a test match and she's usually one to lead the party. Not sure how much they can party. They've only got a few days till their next game, but you can sense the excitement around her.
They've set the mid-on down to long on. I'm not sure why. It's this next one from McGrath spits off a length and hits Filer on the thumb or the finger, and she winces away. That's the end of the over. 176 for 8.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that one out. There's one from the pawn box that goes a step just too far, I think. But he's got another one saying Russ is firm but gentle with cats. Click here. Yeah. So we've got some Pokey Bumfingers with us. It's pretty fine test. I was expecting something a bit stodgy and more one-sided. Not going to die wondering. And if puns are part of your currency, it seems there's a problem with inflation.
That's a good tweet. Well done. Very nice.
That was Perko.
Oh, very good. So anyway, we're continuing with Gardner. I think just basically the captain.
Set and forget it.
Lisa Healy's just Lisa Healy's just gone, look, listen you two, you get these wickets and you're going to keep bowling till you get them. And this one, Wyatt's trying to play it late out into the offside. She completely misses and it's through to the keeper.
Every fielder is now, I think, on the boundary, so they're definitely going to give her the single and play the waiting game. So it might be 6 or nothing here, and she's gone for the 6.
So this next one is looking like it might be 6. It's heading out towards the boundary, but it is fielded. And looks like they might have... What did they take there?
Again, they've taken the single off the second ball.
Taken the single. Goodness me.
I mean, the message might be, well, if we're going to win this game, you've got to hang
gonna
around
have to
for a
score.
while, Filer, anyway, so I can't get 85 singles for the rest of the day. Well, they almost could.
So we
There's
want to
probably
see if
70
Filer's
overs left.
capable of doing a bit of a big swing here. It looks like my feed might be a little bit behind you, chaps. It's possible. Anyway, Gardner bowls, and Filer's watchful and lets it go outside off stump through to the keeper.
No, I think we're in sync. Yep.
Are we in sync? Excellent. So Filer on the blob, she's faced 7 deliveries. This next one has bowled her. It's taken the off stump, and that's Filer out for the blob. And England are now 9 down, and Filer trudges off. She's done her part with 8 dot balls soaked up, but White at the other end, I don't think is capable of bringing this home for England now, Ben Rennick.
No, and that's 10 for the match for Ash Gardner. So she moves up the record books. I've just been informed that there's no jingles for 5-fers or 10-fers in the White Line Wireless thing. So it's a batting conspiracy here.
Yep. Yes, we need some jingles for the bowlers. The challenge is out there to the White Line Wireless community. Something other than heavy metal for the bowlers, for the 5-fer and the 10. Well, maybe not the 10-fer. I mean, that is pretty rare.
Yeah, we were going through the record books before, and Yeah, she's certainly up there in the all-time sort of best test figures.
That's 7 for Gardner now.
Oh, is that 7 for Gardner? Or did we
she's
miss
got
the
11.
10 for?
She got 11 for the match.
Oh, that's
now.
11. Sorry, I was one behind looking up at the scoreboard. It hadn't quite updated, yeah.
One more wicket
Incredible.
would be
7 in one area. That's amazing.
One more wicket would be a record for both Australia, both at an innings and at a match level. So everyone stopped trying to get wickets except Gardner.
There was a 13 wickets. I think was the most ever in a match in women's Test match cricket, and Gardner now on 11.
Just a gorgeous delivery from Gardner. And we are into the second Lauren, as you say, Benerick.
Filer did just play inside that. I'm not sure whether she just played down the long line or was expecting a bit more spin, but probably could have played it on the front foot too. But I guess when you bowl enough deliveries just at that off stump, the number 10's bound to miss one, which is exactly what happened. So 7 for 65.
Gardner looking for another wicket. This one squirts through the gully region, and they're getting runs as it goes down to third, but it's been cleaned up there by Darcy Brown, and that gets Bell, well, off the mark and off strike.
That was very close to thudding into her back pad and the Test match being all over, but she just managed to get some bat on it. As I think they're bringing the field up for the last. The long on's
coming up, back up to mid-on. Everyone's coming in a little. So bringing the field in, which is interesting. They're trying to get White to hit over the top, I imagine. And she tries, but this one's wrapping her on the pads, and she's been given out. That's 10 wickets. England are all out for 178. White is out for 54. And Australia have won the Test match.
Wow. And Gardner has 8 for 66.
Did they go for the obligatory review or not?
Probably. Maybe. Look, they really should not bother.
I think they have. The Australians are celebrating. I think White's decided to review it anyway, but it looked very much plumb in front. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And
so, Russ, let us know what kind of record is that for Gardner?
So that's an Australian record. She's the first bowler to ever get 8 wickets in an innings, and she's the first bowler from Australia to ever get 12 wickets in a match. So really phenomenal effort.
That is such great bowling.
That's hitting middle stump halfway up too. So there's no doubt about that. And she's taken all the wickets today? All 5, I think, Gardner?
Yes.
Oh, God, there is an edge. But there's an ultra edge here. It's very, very minor. It's a very minor little spike as it goes under the bat. I don't think
they're not
it is material. Yeah.
No, I think it's
hitting middle stump.
Might have been a bit past the bat, maybe. So
maybe
they haven't picked that up as an edge, and it's been given out.
They're shaking hands. That is the end of the match. Australia win by 89 runs on day 5. What a wonderful 5 days of Test cricket we have had, and it's been an absolute pleasure to call it with White Line Wireless and Guerrilla Cricket. That is a glorious win for the Australians, and they are quite rightly very pleased with themselves.
Yeah, they just almost just outlasted England a bit. I think just looking back, how crucial was that 100-run or 99-run opening partnership between Mooney and Litchfield in the second innings, because after that, the wickets did fall, and then they fell for England on this last day. So batting got tougher, and I think just a couple of key partnerships, Healy's 50 at the end there, and that opening partnership proved the difference after a very, very even first innings.
We got a flood of tweets came in. Brian Barish tweeted before those last 2 wickets. Says 2 more wickets from Gardner, and they might just change the name of the series to the Ash. Mayank says, I hope for the fans today this gets drawn out until tea. Sorry about that.
No, sorry about that.
Bring back the old school 1.7 runs per over type red ball cricket. Leah says, well, they could just call it Ashes.
Yes.
I like that.
Ashes,
I think there'll be a headline tomorrow if it's not already. If any journos are out there listening to the coverage.
Yeah.
Warren said, did Kat just say someone is on a blob? Yeah,
I did. The blob is a zero. And she's on the blob.
Adit says, no bowling jingles as a sign of our patriarchal society.
That's a great tweet.
Nice
Fantastic.
one. Mog says, also, I can't help but feel targeted when Kat says something other than heavy metal.
I have heard you, Mog. You can do lots of variety of music. It's definitely...
That's certainly true.
Yeah.
Who's the player of the match, says Supun. My vote is Sutherland.
Sutherland.
Well, Gardner with 12, Eccleston 10, Beaumont with the double 100, and Sutherland with the 100. I mean, would you? I mean, it's hard to go past
though,
8 for 60.
It's got to be Gardner.
It's got to be Gardner. I mean, batting was good for both sides in the first innings, and there were a lot of runs, but no one else.
She's the only one who's really dominated with the ball.
Really dominant. Eccleston took a lot of wickets, but did bowl a lot of overs. Didn't run through them, and I think probably those 3 wickets late yesterday after England's start probably turned the game in Australia's favour.
Yeah.
Brian Barish retweets from TNL Marie, who says something I think that's close to the hearts of a lot of Australian listeners, particularly on the East Coast. Thank you to the Australian women's cricket team, and specifically Ash Gardner, for letting us all to go to bed at a reasonable time.
I'm quite happy with
Very
Gardner.
true.
She also made 40 in the first innings, just the 1 in the second, but
yeah.
That is a great all-round performance.
Yes,
Good work, Gardner.
yes. Jay Grover says, oh, Cox, thank you all. I'm off to listen to county cricket. We will be back on Wednesday with the second Ashes test from Lords, of course.
Only one cricket-free day.
You got a day's recovery.
Oh,
Mog says, Australia might just have dodged a bullet there. I think you're right. I mean, that session in the evening on day 3 was crucial in terms of the way this game turned, in my view.
Yeah.
And Adit, on the pun stream, says Gardner did an excellent job of pruning the remaining English wickets there.
Oh yes, that's one of her specialties. Well done. We do like all those tweets. That's a very nice little stream of tweets there at the end of the match. And wonderful game from both teams. So, player of the match, let's just have that before we clean up for the day and everyone goes off to bed. Player of the match for you, Messi, what do you reckon?
I think it has to be Ash Gardner, although, I mean, I know they always go for a player from the winning team. I do think Tammy Beaumont actually deserves something, even though she was on the losing side, because that was a superb innings. So if we're not required to take it from the winning side, I'd go with Tammy Beaumont, actually. Yeah.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'd go for Gardner, just for the fact, I mean, 12 wickets is pretty rare in any form of cricket, obviously, as is a double 100, but probably just for when she got the wickets as well, those 3 last night. But yeah, Test cricket's a hard one with player of the match, because so much happens over 5 days, and it's not like a game of football that lasts for 2 hours. It's you could have several players of the match, but you can't go past Gardner. And if she wasn't bowling today and someone else was a bit looser with their deliveries and England got away a bit, it could have been a different story. So she really didn't give them much, and she was always looking like taking a wicket.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on Gardner as well. What about you, Russ? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I'm Gardner as well. Eccleston was just like mammoth in England's innings. Without her, Australia would have been amazing. But to some extent, that's true of Gardner as well in both innings. And she'd be my player of the match.
And without Sutherland, I mean, Australia was 7 for 315 and managed to put on another 160 for the last few wickets. So I think England was 7 down today when they needed 100. So if they had an Annabelle Sutherland chasing this total, so they were obviously very crucial runs in the context of the game, and picked up a wicket too. But no, you can't go past Ash for me.
I'm also going to nominate a kitten of the match. I'm going for the one with the lovely white bib on it. It's so cute.
Kitten of the match. I think that has been the best lunchtime entertainment. Taking nothing away from the various podcasts that have been playing, but the best lunchtime entertainment that we've ever had in 10 years of White Line Wireless. I'm not sure about guerrilla cricket. Have you ever had anything better? Ricky Ponting included.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty special. Well, of course, with Can't Bowl can't throw as the soundtrack for it as well, which is a double bonus.
Yeah, that was lovely of you to play that as well. So in the point system of the Women's Ashes, a test victory is worth 4 points, and each ODI and T20 win is worth 2 points, 1 point each if it's drawn. So this puts Australia very much in the advantage of already having 4 points on the board.
2 games
and
ahead.
It'll be a catch-up.
Are we into the T20s next or the ODIs? I can't quite remember. But
T20s are next. I think Sunday is the first T20.
So England really don't want to lose. If they lose that first one and go 6 points down, it's a very long road back, which makes that first game all the more important for them.
Yeah, Sunday's going to be a long day because that's day 4 of the men's test, and then presumably they'll go to, I think it's Edgbaston.
It'd be day 5 if it's Sunday
T20.
of the men's test. If we're still going on day 5.
Starts on Wednesday, doesn't it?
It starts on Wednesday. So the way they're talking about the pitch being a bit more spicy, we might get a shorter men's test, but you never know. But yeah, very, very important game for England, obviously, with the way the point system works.
So in the women's comp, we have the match in Birmingham on Sunday, followed by another match, another T20 at the Oval on July the 5th, followed by the third T20 at Lord's on July the 8th, and then the one-dayers start after that. We're not sure yet which ones will be broadcast because we do have the juggling act of the Women's Ashes and the Men's Ashes at the same time. So we will let you know, keep in touch with our Twitter streams and Facebook streams in various areas to find out which matches are being broadcast.
So I don't want to mislead people. I said Sunday for the next the T20. It's Sunday in Australia, but it actually be Saturday in England. It starts at 1:30 my time, 3:30 your time. So it'll be Saturday evening in England.
I'll be up feeding kittens.
Russ will be up.
I don't think we'll be covering that one.
No, so White Line Wireless covering that when it's 1:30 in Perth and 3:30 in Melbourne. Very unlikely. Sadly. If there's anyone out there who'd like to do the call, we would welcome you to let us know.
Just a reminder that the kitten poll is still running. It'll run for another 50 or so minutes, and then we'll stick up the finals. And it'll be 3 finals. Top 2 will go through from this current round. And winners of the finals will be the names of those kittens. So I'll post a photo with the winners as they come in. So do stay online and vote in those polls.
And if there's popular demand, we may have more kitten feeding during the men's sessions as well.
We'll be monitoring their growth. Yes.
Yes. If you would love that to happen, you need to let the producers of Gorilla Cricket know, and we may be able to get the kittens back on at lunchtime or tea time for the men's ashes as well.
Couple of thank you tweets. Rich Turner says, thank you, White Line Wireless and Gorilla Cricket. Closer than I thought it would be. Roll on the next 5-day women's test. And Mog says, excellent work, folks. Let's do this again sometime. I'm off to sell my body to pay for feline medicine.
Yep.
Thank you all for being with us. I've had a ball. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Russ in particular.
Yes, thanks to Russ for
what a sterling job
holding
you've done
the ship
getting
together.
us going. And also remotely to Tony Bishop for his coordination with you, Kat, around the roster for this, which is not an easy job.
It's been wonderful to be able to put this on for the women's test, and we've had a lot of great commentators. We've had a couple of commentary debuts as well from various people, and that has been terrific. So really would love, and if there's anyone out there who thinks they would like to try their hand at commentary, particularly if you're in Melbourne near the Moonee Pond studio, we would love to host you and get you trained up and ready to go for future matches. So bear that in mind. Give us get in contact via Twitter or any of the social media platforms or the Gorilla Cricket website. So we might finish up there. I think there's lots more that could be said about this match, but everyone's exhausted and Russ needs to go to sleep.
Okay, thank you all.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Catch you on Wednesday.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye from White Line Wireless and Gorilla Cricket.